I would like to thank the organizers of this mini IOCon for giving me this opportunity to demonstrate the surgical cells for percutaneous biopsy of portable body lesions. Biopsy is an important investigation tool. It is essential to establish tissue diagnosis, mainly to differentiate benign and malignant lesions, to differentiate between malignancy and infections, and even in infections to differentiate between pyogenes and tubercular infections, as well as to differentiate between rifampicin sensitive and resistant strains. So my objective of my today's session is to demonstrate the surgical techniques of percutaneous biopsy. Generally, biopsy can be a closed biopsy, which is done percutaneously, or an open biopsy. Percutaneous biopsy can be a fine needle aspiration cytology or wide bore needle biopsy. Fine needle aspiration cytology is easy, least traumatic, but then it gives a poor yield and it is difficult to penetrate the bone. Deeper tissues, it is very difficult to get an adequate quantity of material, and aspiration of the pus is difficult. Whereas core needle biopsy is the preferred one for vertebral lesions. Large bore needles, trifine cut and true cut needles or the biopsy or some of the variants. Large bore needles provide good yield. Aspiration of pus is possible, but they can be more traumatic. Generally, I use 11 or 13 gauge needles, 4.5 inches long. And you can see here the pus also. When in infective conditions, we can aspirate the pus. We need some imaging backup. These are some of the methods. Ultrasound is fast, cheap. There's no risk of radiation, but then it is limited by the fact that we cannot use large bore needles. It is difficult to use. Bony lesions, it is difficult. Deeper tissues, visualization is poor, and we need interdepartmental coordination. Usually, the small lesion, soft tissue lesions in the superficial compartment, lesions can be biopsied using ultrasound. Fluoroscopy is the preferred method. We get a real-time picture, and it is dependent on surgeon, inexpensive. Most of the operation theaters are equipped with image intensifier, and we can use large needles. And since we are doing it in OT environment, resuscitation of the patient becomes easier if there is an untoward incident. However, there is a risk of radiation hazard, and sometimes soft tissue lesions and smaller lesions, we may not be able to visualize clearly. And CT-guided biopsy is another important option or commonly practiced method. We can have a multiplanar visualization of the complex areas, even the smaller lesions and soft tissue lesions we can identify clearly, and we can have an accurate trajectory of the needle. However, there are certain disadvantages. Again, CT scan also has some radiation risks. In real time, in case of real time, need for fluoroscopy is there, and if the patient is uncooperative in a radiology department to proceed with the sedation and other things, may be a little bit tricky issue, and you need to have coordination with the radiology department. MRI gives better soft tissue contrast and multiplanar imaging, and there is no risk of radiation. But then it is limited by the fact that it can be costly investigation, as well as we need to have MR compatible equipments. Coming to the approach, we can do biopsy either through transpedicular approach or extrapedicular approach. Most of the spine surgeons are familiar with the transpedicular approach. Before any procedure, it is also essential to do a detailed patient evaluation. We need to look at the bleeding disorders, allergy history, local infections, and if the patient is taking some anticoagulant, they need to be stopped well in advance. These are some of the contraindications, like bleeding disorders, local infections, uncooperative patients, pregnant patients, systemic infection over skin puncture site. And then if the patient has a significant spinal cord compromise at the level to be studied, it is better to avoid. So once we have decided to do a biopsy, accurate planning is required. Study the images carefully, site of the pathology and presence of collection. So decide the approach and trajectory. Patient cooperation is important. I would prefer to do these procedures under local anesthesia, because even if by mistake we pass the needle towards a nerve root, patient will be able to experience radicular symptoms and can pinpoint so that we can change the direction of the needle. However, additional sedation can be considered in uncooperative patients. Bleeding parameters should be evaluated. The sites where favorable sites for needle trajectory, usually if there is a pus or any collection or a displaced collection, they need to be biopsied. Similarly, soft necrotic bone or lytic areas, they need to be biopsied. Soft tissue mass gives better results, maybe from multiple sites. So the next important issue is image. Here now I would like to discuss the technique of transpedicular biopsy. It is important to have proper AP and lateral view. If you look at here, there are oval shadows. The end plates look oval. And if you draw lines on the lateral margin, you can see the pedicle shadow is outside the lateral margin. So it's not a true AP view. We need to ensure that the superior and inferior border of the vertebral body is straight line and the pedicle shadows are within the boundaries of the lateral wall. Similarly, in the lateral view also, here you can see that the pedicle shadows are not overlapping correctly, and it is essential to have a straight line. Superior and inferior should look straight line and pedicle shadow should overlap. So this is an important concept when you use a SIAM. If you look at like this, the vertebral body, in the AP view, you see the pedicle shadow as a oval shadow. The lateral margin of this is the outer of the lateral border of the pedicle, and your entry point should be superior lateral corner of the oval shadow. And as we advance at an angle and somewhere in the middle of the pedicle, now you can see that it is somewhere in the middle of the oval shadow, or it should still be within the boundaries of the oval shadow in the AP projection. And as we go in, once you breach the posterior cortex of the vertebral body, we can see that the oval shadow, it corresponds with the medial border of the vertebral shadow, and we must ensure that this screw tip remains within this boundary again, or within the medial one. And after that, maybe we can go at an angle and cross the oval shadow. So this is how it is, the station 1, station 2, station 3. So this is a clinical example where you can see that the entry point is at the superolateral corner of the pedicle shadow on the AP view, and it is at the station 1. As you enter station 2, middle of the pedicle, and then you can see that it is still within the oval shadow. And once it crosses the posterior border, now you can see in the AP view, it's just touching the medial border of the oval shadow. So sometimes we can use extrapedicular approach. It gives a better trajectory to the lesion. Mainly the transpedicular approach is limited by the fact that our direction is limited by the boundaries of the pedicle shadow, while here it is not the case. And also there is less chance of injury to the spinal cord. So if the lesion is on the opposite side of the vertebral body or center of the vertebral body, we can easily approach it through this trajectory. However, there is a risk of visceral and vascular injury, difficult in thoracic spine due to ribs. So this is a case where you can see that the entry is far lateral compared to the transpedicular approach, and the needle is coming at an angle so that we can reach almost to the midline. The complications are there can be bleeding, neurological injury, visceral injuries like pneumothorax, then allergic reactions and vasovagal reactions. And what about the success rate? With a large bore needle, we can get favorable results in 80 to 100%. Failure to get report means the patient may be on antibiotics or sample is not from the appropriate area. Errors in the transport and processing of the samples also can contribute to the failure of results report, and failure to get appropriate culture tests. Sometimes we may have to do a fungal culture. So I will demonstrate the techniques using a video here. So this is a case of multiple metastases, the pathological L3 and L5 vertebral bodies. So L3, there is a pathological fracture of L3 and signal intensity changes in L5. So we have decided to do a percutaneous biopsy. Patient is on monitor. Local anesthesia is infiltrated using the spinal needle. Again, the position is confirmed with the image intensifier. And you can see that we are targeting the superolateral corner of the oval shadow on the AP view, and it should just touch the entry point in the lateral view. Local anesthesia is infiltrated. Is 2% clinical. So then an incision is made, and then the needle, Jamshedi needle is introduced. So we can see that this is a station 1 confirmed with the image. It's slightly on the superior aspect, so it is redirected. Now you can see it is correct. And now we have to confirm the same with the AP view also. Yeah, so it's in the supralateral corner of the oval shadow. So that means it is station 1. Now it is with the gyrating movement, we advance into the vertebral body in the direction of the pedicle. And you can see that this is now station 2, which is still within the oval shadow, still in the oval shadow. And you can see the station 2, this is almost touching the posterior border of the vertebral body. So now we advance again a little bit. Now we are in the station 3, and I remove the stellate at this stage. Confirm with the image it has crossed the vertebral body. We need to confirm the AP view also to ensure that it is still within the pedicle shadow. So now we have advanced it. Yes, I have checking for the movements of the leg on the toes so that there is no neurological injury. And now with the gyrating movement, slowly advance into the vertebral body. Remember that the stellate should be removed at this stage so that a part of bone is trapped within the substance of the within the needle. So now we have breached the oval shadow here, but it is already in the vertebral body. So with the rotating movement, we advance slowly. At this stage, you can do a little bit of twisting movement so that the bone is caught there and remove it. And then remove the. You can aspirate also to see if there is any pus. So the needle is removed now, and you can see a large chunk of bone is caught in the junction. So now I'm because we need to do for multiple sites, and for the demonstration purposes, I'm doing the extrapedicular approach. Again, you can see the needle is directed to the junction of pedicle and vertebral body just above the transverse process. On the entry point is a little bit more lateral compared to the uh, transpedicular approach. So the needle is introduced at an angle now to hit the junction between the pedicle and the body. So now you can see it here that I'm trying to know this is a little bit superior. So I will try to angle it a little bit more. You can see with a little bit angulation now I can target the lower part of the vertebral body. So this is the advantage of transpedicular approach, where with a little bit angulation we can either target the superior part of the vertebral body or even the disc space. So now it is at the junction. Now we introduce and then confirm that it is in the vertebral body, and then we try. So it is still so it's entered the vertebral body, but on the AP view it was still within the oval shadow. So that is the most important thing. So now we advance after removing the stellate. Then with the little bit rotating movement, we try to capture a piece of bone. Then we pull out, and we can see that a large chunk of bone is again caught. So that's about that is how we do a transpedicular extrapedicular approach. I think with this I would like to end my talk. Thank you.